We're going to get in the program and talk about themed gardens. And when we brought up this topic in our meeting, it's not a staff of people, just Holly and me. That's who puts this show on. We do everything from the marketing to the production and to sending out to the stations.
I was going to tell where it came from, but I guess you're going to.
Well, I'm just letting people know that we don't have a major staff. It's just me and you that make this thing happen each week, 35 weeks a year.
Our cat helps us too.
Tex, our cat, contributes in some form or fashion. I'm not sure how. But how did this particular topic of themed gardens originate?
Well, I've seen, different things on social media.
Which is always a safe place to find accurate information.
Garden inspiration. Okay. But then my friend Laura and I, she's the one who does all those voice things.
Yeah, you're tuned into the garden with Joy.
Yeah. Her and I went to go visit this labyrinth garden, which I'll explain what that is in a second, in West Bend, Wisconsin. If you're in Wisconsin, that's where we're based out of. And I was like, this is neat. And then there was certain plants that reminded me of a themed garden, not just a labyrinth garden, but then also certain types of plants that reminded me of a themed garden that I saw. And I was like, you know what, there's a few different themed gardens, and there's probably more but there's some that I thought off the top of my head. And I was like, this would make a great radio show topic. And with everything we've had going on, I still very much enjoy gardening, but I haven't felt inspired to try something new for a while. And I was like, I feel inspired to try what's called a goth garden, which we will get into, or goth plants, especially on our little porch outside, which one of the plants we're growing is purslane weeds through compost bags.
Yes.
So I would like to, next spring, kind of bring some life back to it and have a nice little garden out there. I go out there and I sit and I do stretches and yoga and stuff like that. And as much as I appreciate those purslane weeds, I would like something that's a little bit nicer. So, one themed garden is a space-saving, unique garden such as a labyrinth.
Now, with all these gardens, these can be edible or ornamental or a combination of both. They don't have to be nailed down as one particular...
Yeah, I think so, except for maybe like the butterfly garden. That's mostly just...
Well, you can eat flowers.
Yeah.
But if you eat the flowers, the butterflies don't come.
Right.
Okay.
So anyway... So a space-saving garden that's unique is a labyrinth, and what you do is you simply construct a continuous path that twists and turns until it reaches the center of a circle, or it could be a square.
So like a corkscrew?
No, it's more like a little, like a maze kind of.
Okay, but it goes round and round and round and round until it tightens up in the center.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of like a slinky that you've unraveled.
I took lots of pictures of it.
I'm sure they would love to see it on the radio. We're not.
If you Google Labyrinth Garden in West Bend, Wisconsin, you'll find it.
Okay.
So anyway, so it twists and turns. It's not meant to be a maze. It's meant to, you can get in and out of it quickly or easily or whatever. This one was just flowers. Some people put hedges or shrubs, what have you. So we could literally just like walk over some open spots in the flowers if you wanted to, so you didn't have to follow the whole path, which we did to basically get out of it. And this one was fenced in, probably, I'm assuming because of deer. But yeah, it was very beautiful, and it's space saving because you're making these paths, so it gives you a chance to really make a design. And then also plant more plants. Okay, we got butterfly gardens. Wait, so we have color-themed gardens. Color-themed gardens, okay. So that's pretty obvious, right? Like you want all purple or pinks or magentas or yellows, whatever, color-themed garden. And then a native plant garden. So this is something where you would have to do research in your own area about what are native plants. And then a lot of times these native plant gardens will cross over with butterfly gardens or like a rain garden, so you would be able to or like a drought resistant garden, because a lot of native plants are more drought resistant, so that could be a theme as well. And then there's even something called bioswales, where you basically make a trench and then you grow plants in it, and the rain is naturally attracted to the bioswale, and then you don't have to worry about watering it, and then you use the drought-resistant plants and the native plants, and then it's it's very self-sustaining.
When we say native plants, it's very regional based on your geographical area. And you can go to your favorite search engine and type in native plants and put your zip code in, or you can call your local Department of Natural Resources, and they would have some...
Or your independent garden center.
Independent garden center. They would have charts or available information on here are the native plants in this area. And there can, I know that, for example, here, dill, the weed, the herb, can be an invasive plant in certain areas that they have deemed because of the aggressiveness that it reseeds. We've seen this in our front yard garden. So I don't know if there's any native plants that would be deemed invasive. I can see the crossover that, the state next to you, they have a plant that's native, but you bring it over to your state, it's considered invasive.
Right. Right. But some are regional too.
Yes.
So, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I had a thought there, but I can't remember what it was. That's okay. Oh, you can also go to a botanical garden. So they will usually have information about native plants. And sometimes they'll even have like native plant sales. Uh-huh. And then...
Now with these gardens, it's really up to the individual. It can be a lot of work, just like a regular vegetable garden, or you can probably get away with some of these different themes as plant it and forget it, and it will do its own thing.
They also can be perennials and annuals, or a combination, and then you can also do things like growing in pots and containers, or growing more in the ground.
All right, let's talk about your goth garden.
We got to talk about the butterfly garden.
Okay.
So butterfly garden is obviously butterfly friendly plants. And so there's a lot of different ones out there. You may have heard of a lot of these, or maybe not. And a lot of these are also native plants. So there's the butterfly weed or the butterfly bush, purple coneflower. Milkweed is a huge one.
Yes.
Zinnia coneflowers, aster, and then goldenrod, verbena, salvia, latana. And then some of these are not as much well known is like, I don't know about pieweed. I think that's a southern plant. Lavender, sunflower, milkweed phlox, coreopsis. Dill is actually one, which is interesting. Black-eyed Susan. So a lot of these are like the bright, colorful, kind of petally flowers, or flowers that are easy for that butterfly to land on.
Okay.
So goth garden is basically plants that are dark color. So they would be like flowers that are more black looking, or dark purple.
More earth toned in the...
No, like dark.
Okay, just dark in visualization. Okay.
Yeah, so there's like red sunflowers, which is one that is a lot. And I saw that in the labyrinth garden next to these ornamental peppers that had like black leaves. So that was cool. And then there's different varieties of like roses that are, more black or dark purple or dark blue. So you're thinking like dark colors. So it's not like... they call them goth gardens because that's become like the trend. It's more of like a color themed garden if you think about it.
Well, these gardens, these themed gardens, when we initially talked about this, I thought fairy garden.
Yeah, fairy garden could be a themed garden, or even like a terrarium.
A terrarium, yeah, that could be done indoors.
Yeah.
Or it typically is done indoors. But there's no, that can't be, because if you can think it, it can be accomplished. Tractor garden, like a themed, like a John Deere or a Case, all plants in that themed of color.
Yeah.
Agricultural garden, I guess you would call it. Farm equipment, implement.
You could plant a bunch of pansies or whatever in an area, or petunias or whatever, and put little fairy furniture, and that could be your fairy garden.
Well, and also you see these gardens where it's the dump truck or a barrel tipped over, and all the flowers are spilling out, and it looks like water, but they're all...
I like those.
Yeah. And then you can also have them where it's, I don't know if it's succession planting, where the short ones bloom, then the taller ones, and then all in the back, then the sunflowers all are bloomed, and they kind of, it's like a domino. One blooms, fall, and back. So it's something that many people may not think is something that they can particularly do on their piece of property, but it doesn't take much space at all. This could be in a 4x4 bed. This could be along the house, or you can use a whole backyard. There's no qualifications that you have to meet in order to successfully do a themed garden.
No, and some people will even get a certification as like a butterfly
Monarch butterfly garden.
Yeah. And there's probably qualifications for that, or you can just grow it for your own personal joy. And
Depends on the government in your area.
I'm sure there's gardens that will attract hummingbirds.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of different.
Yeah, there's hummingbird gardens. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different options. If you are looking to grow a goth garden, there is, again, the red sunflowers. Here's some ideas: roses, columbine, hollyhocks, dahlias, pansies, and then other sort of ornamentals: black mondo grass, petunias, tulips, irises, calla lilies, elders, dragon arum, which I'm not 100% sure what that is, Rebecca, black coral pea, and then a Zanzibar gem. So you would just look for the dark colors.
And you don't have to do this in the ground. You can do this in containers on a porch patio or deck.
That's what we're going to do.
So it doesn't have to be, I can only do this if I have ground. No, you can do this in large containers, small containers. Keep them watered if it's required, and have at it.
And that's another one is carnivorous plants. That's a themed garden that you can have.
Desert
a lot of people,
plants, yeah.
Yeah, or succulents. Those are things you can do inside.
There's people listening to the show going, I've got that in the backyard. It's called a desert. Yeah.
Carnivorous plants are deserts?
No, the cacti.
The cacti.
A desert garden.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you now.
Well, Walton's also has got you. They've got everything you need except for the meats.
Yeah, we are brought to you today by our sponsor, Walton's. We know you care about where your food comes from. Canning and preserving your fruits and vegetables is great, but what about the meat? At Walton's, you can get the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. Do you want to make snack sticks that people will actually like? You can go to Walton's, has their own, it's called meatgistics.com, and an informational site where you can make the best finished product. They have a full line of meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's everything but the meat. You can use code GROW50 at waltonsinc.com, code GROW50 to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more at waltonsinc.com. For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.